Right, third race at Kempton this evening, 5:30, is shortly upon us. Another mile race. In fact, the first 4 races in the card are all over that 1,600-metre trip. So we'll have a look at what the betting is telling us before we have a look at the horse in the parade ring. Subjective value, who wasn't favourite earlier, was certainly overnight popular. Is now 9-4 and is back to the top of the market. El Bello had been backed, is 11-4. 130, Sid Zanny, who I think is interesting, is still a maiden, this daughter of Far. At some point, hopefully, that will change. She is the mount of David Probert, who bids for a quick double, having taken out our previous race on the Godolphin run in noble order. Shorts on is 8-1. KARDINYA at 11-1. HYPERSONICAL at 14s. Tikana at 18s. Decorated Doll at 25-1. And 28-1 is the price of State Control. We've got a full field of 9. It's subjective value at 9-4, looking to back up that win from last time. We'll see how that horse and all the others are in the parade ring with Jess.
Thanks very much, Nick. Yes, very ominous looking clouds here at Kempton, starting to get very dark indeed ahead of the 5:30, this 1 mile handicap. And we're going to start with horse number 1, which is Charlie and Mark Johnson's runner subjective value. Joe Fanning will be on board in the subjectivist colours, of course, and this all started the year off well with a win at Wolverhampton on his first go over this trip. He kept on strongly and he's up £3 for that victory. And that was his first run for 122 days, plus a gelding procedure, so it looks to have worked the trip for him. Number 5 is Tikana. Stevie Donohue's on board for Henry Spiller. She's had 3 runs in fillies only novice races at Chelmsford, showing promise despite being slowly away on all of those occasions. New territory against Colts off her opening mark of 67. Bit of a gap before we see what I think is number 6, HYPERSONICAL. Pierre-Louis Jamin will be on board for Tom Dascombe, a 335,000 guineas breeze-up 2-year-old, who ultimately disappointed as a 2-year-old for Carl Burke with 3 below-par runs. He's gelded now and starting handicapping off a mark of 66. Number 2 is the grey, that's El Bello. Christian Howard takes £7 off for Marco Botti, a handicap debutant of 71. That mark has been given to him off the back of 3 decent runs, especially last time at Lingfield, where he stayed on pretty eye-catchingly, I thought. 8, this is Shorts On. Trevor Whelan is taking the ride for Harry and Roger Charlton, coming here off the back of a good third only 24 days ago. That was at this track, over 7 furlongs. He steps up a furlong, and he's on the same mark, but the form of that race is not much to write home about. I note that he's also got a February sale entry. Archie Watson's runner is State Control. Adam McNamara is on board. This is the bottom weight of the field, got a mark of 62. And he was dropped £3 following his most recent run at Southall, where he didn't go unfancied in his handicap debut. Cheap pieces were on that day. He did plenty early on, didn't just finish out his race last time out. We're going to look at number 7, Decorated Doll, for Dara Keenan and David Evans. This horse, having 3rd run this month, was behind El Bello on her first start of the year, but has improved for that run since. The 4th last time was a better run and is on a decent opening mark of 65. Pick up number 4, Sid Zanny. Sid Zanny will have David Probert on board for Mark Usher, a filly with ability who proved that when second at 50-1 on debut at this track last October, has been slow away and green since, and last time out she was 2 free without the hood on. The hood's back on and she's got a strong jockey booking, just had a winner, and that gives her a solid chance off a mark of 68. Number 3 will be David O'Meara and Jason Watson's runner, that's KARDINYA. 2nd run for David O'Meara, and this is his first run in handicap company. The mark of 68 I thought was pretty stern based off the fact it's quite difficult to assess the Irish form, and he was beaten a good way at Newcastle 2 weeks ago. Another horse that's in the February sales. And just making sure who we haven't seen, I think we've had a look at all of them now. Number 2, El Bello, we did have a look at. I think that's Christian Howard's ride for Marco Botti. So I think we've had a look at all of them next. So I'll head back to you ahead of this 5:30 the mile handicap.
Jess, thank you very much. Plenty of these dipping into handicap company for the first time. There is one of them, that is El Bello. You won't need too much by way of direction to pick that one out in the run. 3-1 is the price of El Bello. Subjective value, though, is 5-2 and favourite for Charlie and Mark Johnson. To follow up that opening success last time, Sid Zanny is 130, 8-1 about Shorts On. KARDINYA at 12-1, 14s bar those. The first horse to talk about is... Who are we going for, George?
Well, let's talk about the favourite. Got the job done at Wolverhampton last time, subjective value. Looked a nice, straightforward individual, up £3. Obviously, he's drawn in stall 9 on the wing. But you would imagine, looking at the field, is a proper pace angle. It would be whether Joe Fannin, he's going to dictate the race and set the fractions as he sees fit. And I thought just looked a very straightforward individual at Wolverhampton. Yeah,
it was off the break that Jess mentioned. Gelded for the first time as well, running since then, and running on the weather as well for the first time. In her short career so far, Sid Zanny, who I think finds herself as third in the market, I have backed her. She's one that hopefully is going to give a run for the money. I've found her really quite intriguing in her short career so far.
Well, she started off her career here at Kempton, and she ran with a great deal of promise on her first start, didn't she? And then she's run respectably. Last time at Southall, from a poor draw, she raced without the hood, and she just did things slightly in a keen fashion and wasn't that straightforward. I would have thought a mile was definitely within her grasp, but she's got to learn to relax and get into a good rhythm.
I agree.
David Probert rides her for the first time, and I think she's a filly that we definitely haven't seen the best of her. I think she's probably potentially well handicapped, but she's got to give herself a chance to be seen to best effect over the mile.
She's twice interested me here, both of those runs over the 7 furlongs as well. And actually, interesting enough, you said about the mile. She was actually declared and got upset in the stalls on what would have been the career debut at the back end of the autumn at Nottingham. That was over the extended mile, so the intention was to run her over that trip anyway. El Bello, actually, talk about the riders. Christian Howarth, who in, well, the very short year we've had so far, just the 29 days of January, has formed a fair record. 8 from 35 is the record already this year, and takes off the £7 off El Bello. Yeah,
he's using the all-weather season as a springboard. It's really good to see Christian sort of thriving. I've met him a few times doing the course walks at the tracks, and he's switched on lad, really interested in it, obviously followed racing very closely, and every year you kind of get a couple of apprentices come through that really sort of hit the ground running and use it as a springboard, hopefully for the grass season, and it looks like Christian's doing that.
Subjective value is 11 to 4. El Bello is 100 to 30, who goes into handicap company for the first time. El Bello, who was third behind the subsequent winner, Party on Girl, at Lingfield last time out. We've talked about Sid's Annie. Who else is on the shortlist?
Well, just to say about El Bello, that run at Lingfield at the beginning of January, shaped with loads and loads of promise, and wasn't that well placed as the race developed. And you know, when you turn in at Lingfield, you've only got a short period of time to the line. Stayed on really strongly. I would have thought the 8 furlongs here at Kempton will suit him much better, and just give him a bit more time to get organised. And it is noticeable, as you say, that Marco Botti's using Christian for his very valuable £7 claim.
Replication of Shorts-On's run here over 7 furlongs last time out, which was just a few weeks ago behind Small Prince. Would that make the horse that's on the far side there in the Paul and Claire Rooney colours a player in this?
Yeah, he's not a sort of one that sort of stands out that clearly to me. It was a much better effort last time over the 7 furlongs behind Small Print, as you say, and I'm sure can build on that. It's sort of shown bits and bobs in his sort of maidens and novices, and then that was a much better run last time.
Kardinya's not been popular necessarily in the market, well, by any means. When the crawler comes around again, we'll see that. I noted down 8 to 1 or so earlier. He's having that second run for David O'Mara since joining from Ireland. Ran all right to a point, actually, on the debut, the yard debut last time. This is just the second start in Britain for Kardinya, who's another of the handicap debutants, was behind 2 of Charlie Appleby's, actually, on the yard debut last time. The second is 1. How much more to come from Kardinya?
Well, as you say, it's interesting, David O'Meara's second start since leaving Ireland, and I'm sure that they'll be learning about this colt and what he wants. It was an encouraging enough debut for new connections. I just think there's a potential that a few of these are still ahead of their marks, and I agree with you, Nick. I think Sid Zanny, she's a filly who they've put the hood back on. I'm sure that will help David Probert's cause, and if she can get into a good rhythm, and I think stall 2 is key, she's going to be able to get cover and get into a good rhythm. If you can do that, she's going to be seen to good effect.
She is. She's going forwards. Hopefully she runs well. We'll see. Jess, for the last few moments before the off, we're both fans of Sid Zanny. Which way are you going with this?
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, I look, I agree with everything that both you and George have said, and I think the jockey booking is a bit of confidence as well. My question was, what does David Probert do with her? As George has said, his horse has been slow away and green, and she was too free without the hood on. So it will be interesting to see how the race develops for her today. I do like, and I thought it was interesting, to the market support as well for El Bello, Marco Botti's runner, who does well with his horses at Kempton, and another handicap debutant. And I just thought that this horse ran well behind two useful types, Faraway Thoughts, who was just denied another win earlier on today at the other track. And the second run here, he was caught very wide from stall 14, and he was also green. So I thought coming out of stall 6 might give him a better chance here tonight, and that's the horse that I'm intrigued by. But Sidzani has got plenty in her favour if everything works out well for her today in this race, and she's not as free as she was last time out. So she's definitely one to note. So, and confidence behind her in the market. So that is El Bello, the horse that I like. You will not miss him, the grey son of El Kabir. He'll be the last to line up. So we'll head back up to Simon Holt.
And that's it. They're lined up for this Unibet new instant roulette handicap. A series qualifier for the London Mile. Two slow starters, Tikana and Hypersonical. Decorated Dole, in contrast, sharply into stride, leads by a length and a half or so. Two subjective value on the outside second. Kardinya third on the rail. Shorts on is next from Sid's Annie in the blue and white jacket to the inside. Further back, El Bayo, the grey, out wide of State Control. Then Hypersonical and Tikana at the rear of the field as they continue down the back straight. Decorated Dole from subjective value, nearly strive for stride now. Kardinya is behind these. Sid's Annie on the inside, Shorts on out wider, followed out wide by El Bayo. Inside that one, State Control, Hypersonical. Tikana is at the back of the field. So turning right-handed, and Decorated Dole by a little less than a length to subjective value in second place. Sid's Annie in a good position on the inside then of Kardinya in the green and white jacket. Shorts on out wider, 3 wide. Then Hypersonical, followed by El Bayo, State Control in between runners, and Tikana nudged along at the rear of the field as they turn the corner. Decorated Dole has made it all so far. Subjective value is well poised. So too Sid's Annie, who's spying a run up that far rail in the hands of David Probert at the cutaway. Then Kardinya, followed by Hypersonical, Shorts on, and then on the far side Tikana, and now it's subjective value trying to wear down Decorated Dole, with Sid's Annie joining in on the far side, nearly 3 in line here. Kardinya's back in fourth, and Sid's Annie is driving hard. Sid's Annie on the far side of subjective value and Decorated Dole, and racing up towards the line. Sid's Annie does enough to win. Another for David Probert. Subjective value on the near side of Decorated Dole, second and third, then Kardinya and Tikana.
Double on the night for David Probert, and he does really well aboard Sid's Annie. Got this horse very well settled this time, and she comes home gamely in the end from subjective value in second, and Decorated Dole in third, who's the early pace setter. And Kardinya, it looks like, was fourth. And an interesting run from El Bello, who made a bit of ground late on. But Sid's Annie and the two horses behind her got in a bit of a battle up the home straight. But Sid's Annie really wanted to do it today. She stuck her head down and was trying all the way to the line, and breaks her maiden tag in game fashion for the Mark Usher team as we pick it up here. And this is at the cutaway, where David Probert is just edging his horse to get more competitive, and subjective value is throwing down a really strong challenge with Joe Fanning on board, but was having to give a good bit of weight away, especially to Sid's Annie. Only £3, but it does always help when these tight finishes, and using that far rail to guide her, David Probert gets this horse home strongly in the end. And Decorated Dole, who showed up pretty quick, pretty strong early on in this race for Dara Keenan, was having the third run this month, and showed up with plenty of promise again here today. But Sid's Annie, she hasn't been the easiest in the past. She's definitely got plenty of ability, and David Probert gets a real good key out of her today, and I thought exactly what they needed to do. The tactics of the race really panned out, and she breaks her maiden tag in really game fashion.
She did, and a quick double as well for the man aboard. David Probert, who'd partnered the Godolphin runner Noble Order at odds on in our previous race, where it's Sid Zanni who's opened the mark, or opened the account at the 5th attempt, and stepping up to the mile for the first time. The hood going back on, it's all clicked together at a course that she's run well at before.
Yeah, it was a very good performance. I thought David Probert early doors on this filly was very, very good. She wanted to latch on, and there was a key moment when it looked like he was going to be slightly tight for him, and he held his position and just got a nice toe onto the heels of the horse in front of him that was making the running in Decorated Doll. And you can see him there in the blue and white colours, number 4, just on the rail. And Jason Watson's looking to come over in front of him. David wants to take back, but he's just going to get caught on heels as he comes over, so he lets this filly stride up there without setting her light too much, holds his position, and was very well placed when the intersection came up.
What do we make of the run of, on the front end, who has stuck about, Decorated Doll, one of the 5 handicap debutants in the 9-strong field?
Yeah, I thought it was a good enough run. They all finished on top of each other a little bit, didn't they? I mean, you can see Joe on the last time out winner, subject to value. I'm just happy enough to just keep things even. I mean, that's what it looked like. It wasn't a suicidal gallop by any means. It's just a sensible building gallop as such.
There are a couple that have caught the eye, and obviously you can't look away from the eye's always going to be drawn to that pretty striking grey.